Your favorite artists. New music discovery. Candid conversations, unfiltered. Loudmouth, little lady, lots of music history. Broadcasting live from New Jersey, it's the Carr Stereo Podcast with Terrie Carr.
He's a groundbreaking artist, he's a super talent, and he is a super nice guy. He is one of my favorite people. I am so grateful that in 2020, I discovered the one and only Ayron Jones. I welcome you to my Carr Stereo podcast. It's always great to see your face. It's so funny because I could look at video and footage of you from like way back in the day, 2012, 2013. You never change.
Man, I appreciate that. My face has been getting a little bit grayer, and I'm getting a little bit older these days. But I appreciate that, man. I try to keep a bit of youthfulness about me, at least in spirit.
You are always youthful. I was going to tell you this before we started, and then I said, no, I got to save it. What I love about you is you've had the believers over the years, but you're a very DIY kind of guy.
Yeah.
You have been, and I've said this to other artists, it is useless to be a visionary if you are not also an executioner.
Yeah.
You have had the vision for the type of artist that you are, and you have done everything to make it happen. You've had some of the believers. You and I have spoken so many times, but I do want to rewind for people who may be hearing this or watching it for the first time, whether it was somebody like Sir Mix-a-Lot, who's such a brilliant guy. Everybody knows him from,
Yeah, oh yeah.
But he's, his mind is always on music, or Duff McKagan, or, there have been people who have been believers in you, but you figured out a way to always kind of make it happen. How have you done that?
I think that a lot, the way that I look at it is like this. I went through a lot as a kid, and when you don't have, say, like your parents or someone that's like in front of you telling you can make it happen, or like they showing you what's possible, you got to figure out how to do it on your own, and without, I think, the proper, guidance in the world. I had, my auntie was there and all that, but her hands were full. She was raising three kids on her own, single one raising three kids on her own in a job. So she wasn't always around. But, without having that guidance, I've had to adapt and learn and figure it out on my own, and also just kind of like believe beyond belief, especially in myself, but just like knowing that no matter what anybody was going to tell me, or the obstacles I was going to face, that my truth was always my truth, and my truth was whatever I want to do, whatever I want to happen for myself is happening. It's going to happen, and it has happened.
And you've always been very honest about where you came from, the issues that affected your life growing up, having absentee parents.
Yeah.
Were you ever afraid, though, to be that naked? I mean, here you are entering this whole new world of people where everything seems like it's a freaking party.
Mm-hmm.
And here you are coming in and saying, look, I had some heavy shit that went on, but here's who I am. I'm putting it on my record. I'm putting it on Child of the State. And you were always just so honest about that. And obviously it served you well, but how scary was I would be scared to do that. Like, I'm a very private person, so I keep everything down inside, so for you to do that, just come out with your pants down, I think is massive.
Yeah,
that's what it is. That really is what it is.
It really is. I mean, but that's kind of the thing. It's like, what's the point of trying to gather hearts and minds together if you're not going to do it for yourself? Be the first person to do it. To say that I've been through this, I am this way. I'm imperfect, and I know it's okay because you're imperfect too. You know what I mean? That's the most powerful thing that we can hold in ourselves is realizing that we don't live in a binary world, right? Nothing is this or that. Nothing is good or bad. Nothing is black or white. It is all one thing at the same time, and you get to observe what you want to be and what you want to show the world. And I think that was important for me to be the first example of that in the music so that I could open up and begin to touch the hearts and minds of the people that I wanted to touch, you know?
Yeah. When I first heard about you, and I knew of Ayron Jones and The Way, which was
Yeah.
your band, your first project. But then I remember I got a call from your management company, and I got a call
Yeah.
from Bill McGathy, who said, we've signed this guy, and I'm such a believer in him. And it was like COVID time. It was like during COVID time, and Bill was somewhere out by the beach or whatever, hibernating. But he
Hmm.
said, you've got to check out this guy. He's so incredible. And that's when I kind of regrouped and started listening to the old music. And then I got the new music. And it was funny. I posted a photo of me and you on my Facebook today. And I said, I'm excited to catch up with Ayron. And we looked
Oh yeah.
great. We were like pre-concert. We were all duded up, ready to go. And
Yeah.
everybody underneath is like, he's amazing. He's amazing. He's amazing. So the things that you've done, um, to kind of reinvent like this sound and
Mm.
this really organic feel. I mean, look, 2020, none of us knew which end was up. Nobody knew. So I hear Take Me Away. That was definitely an anthem, I think, for what we were all going through at that time. And then Mercy
Yeah.
comes out. And then things start to happen for you. I guess Mercy goes to number one. Supercharged also was like at number
Number two.
two, I think, and
Hmm.
Take Me Away was top five. You had no touring behind you.
Nothing.
You were not going out to like places and meeting people at the guitar stores, and I got nothing. Like
Yeah.
has to show you something. What did that
Hmm.
show you?
Just the power of the mind and what you're really truly capable of versus what we were told we're capable of. You know, it's like there's a connection between all of us, and I don't know, somehow we tapped into that connection, especially in the time period where we couldn't get out there and actually see each other face to face. We found ways to connect, which is why the internet became what it is today, for better for worse. The internet became what it is today
We did
because
things.
of
I didn't know you. We did virtual
yeah.
happy hours. I'm trying to figure out how to get everybody in. You guys played, you and band members played. It was like really crazy, but we figured out a way to make it happen. But I think you are so humble and sweet that what you're not saying is I think it's also about great songs. I mean, you're a great
Yeah.
guitar
Yeah.
player. You're a
Right.
lover of the power trio. I love
Yeah.
your band so much. But you came up with so many great songs
Yeah. Hmm.
on that record, on Child of the State, and it was a top to bottom storytelling journey
Yeah.
for people, and everybody could find something that they could relate to. So before we get to Chronicles, I
Yeah.
also want to talk to you about something that you don't get credit for, and I don't understand this. So how many Black artists get on
Mm.
the rock charts?
Yeah.
Solo Black artists get on the rock charts out of the box with number ones and number twos and top fives with very, like we just talked about, the very little things that you had to do. When
Hmm.
I said he's a groundbreaking artist, you're a groundbreaking
Yeah.
artist. You've opened the
Thank
door.
you.
Now, I never like to put people in boxes. So I know that female artists always say, well, I don't want to be a female artist. I want to be, and you don't want to be a Black rock artist. You want to be a rock artist. I get that. But when you've done so much, you gotta take a little of that credit. That's a big
Yeah.
accomplishment. I've been doing this a long time. Does not
Hmm.
happen a lot.
For me, that is more of a recent realization because it was never in my head that I'm this like solo Black artist. And then I think I was sitting there one day and I thought about it and I went down a rabbit hole to see who had done
Me
it,
too. Me too,
and
because
the
I
first
thought
thing
Lenny maybe had more.
he
And I'm
didn't.
looking at Lenny's and he didn't. You're the
No,
guy.
I'm the guy. Yeah, I'm the guy. Yeah, Lenny. I thought Lenny too, but Lenny actually was on the top 40, like the pop charts, right? Like he's more of the broader, But I think I am the first solo Black artist to hold the number one spot, I believe, on the charts, and if not a very long time, in ever. Yeah, that's the truth.
That's
And
massive. That is
yeah,
huge. That is
yeah, yeah.
huge. And I had to bring that up. I felt when I said I've been doing this for a long time, I'll probably date myself. But I felt that there was a movement in Black rock, and I was really excited about it. And it was coming, it was coming, it was coming. And it started really right before grunge,
Yeah.
I felt.
Yeah.
So we had the Lenny, and everybody was different. So you had like Lenny doing his, granola-y kind of folky songwriter thing. Then you had Living Color doing like this MTV great poppy metal. Then you had great guitar players like Eric Gales and John Butcher and King's X and punk with Bad Brains. And we were in New York, so we had people like TV on the radio and 24/7 Spies. And there was this like movement that was so exciting. And then grunge hit, and there was all the movements kind of slowed down a little bit because that ended up being the trend, the movement of women and the movement, the hair bands fell by the wayside. But you've been somebody who's been very, very influenced by that 90s, sound.
100%. Yeah. I, being born and raised here in Seattle, that's where, I mean, that, during the grunge era, but, 95 on, 90s on, it was all that was happening in front of me in that moment. And then 90s was such a eclectic period for music, period. Like, not being that, it was like the last era, I believe, before we really started putting things in their boxes, right? Where everything was kind of in the same territory together. So I got to listen to everybody from Britney Spears to Nirvana to,
we were lucky, right?
Whoever. So lucky. There was so much music happening, and it wasn't just like, it was all popular. It wasn't just like, oh, this is the rock station, and this is all we're going to play, and this is what we're going to do over here, and this is what we're going to do over here. It was like everybody's stuff had any chance of crossing over and hitting different kinds of stations, alternative, pop, anything. Nirvana was on the pop stations like that. They were the popular music at the time. So I was lucky enough to grow up in that era, and I was heavily influenced by that sound. But the people that crafted that sound, even, so I've worked with Matt Cameron. I've worked with Duff McKagan. I've worked with cats like Kim Thale, and I've worked hand in hand. Barrett Martin worked on my second indie record.
Screaming Trees, amazing.
He literally taught me how to plug my guitar in and sound like the era, and so that's an
underrated band. Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're amazing. Screaming Trees is an amazing band, and Mad Season, all those cats were amazing.
And bands that didn't make it from that era as big as the Pearl Jams and Nirvanas, like Mudhoney and Screaming Trees, like there was just so much that came out of that. So that kind of stopped these different movements of different music, because then the record companies, and it's not the artist's fault, of course, it's the fault of the record companies who said, oh man, we need more Pearl Jams, we need more Alice in Chains, we need more Soundgardens, we need more, we need all of these bands now, and then all of a sudden 2000 hits and everybody's post grunge. And but that time, I know was such a big influence on you as an artist.
Huge, man. Even the post grunge era was had some influence on me as well. I mean, all of that. I mean, we were kids in middle school and high school, and that was the sound of the era, And so for me as an artist breaking out in 2020, I mean, that's kind of what was my huge, and also like, coming from the soul scene as well, which is probably not as popular as maybe some of these other genres, but I carried, a lot of this blues and soul. I mean, I simultaneously listened to Michael Jackson and Nirvana. I was simultaneously listening to Stevie Wonder and Prince and also listening to Alice in Chains. These things were happening all at the same time.
Absolutely.
For me, these are my sounds. These are my influences,
Absolutely. I would put music on and still do. And it's like in one ear, in one moment, it's "This Is How We Do It." Now, Metallica's doing one, is the next song. Montel Jordan, Metallica, Montel Jordan,
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And pop music, I think, has changed, a little bit, but I think we were really lucky in that era, in that period of time. So then Chronicles of the Kid comes out, and Blood in the Water goes to number one for you again. I mean, it's so mind-blowing. It's just so mind-blowing to me. And you are a nonstop tourer. You can fit on tour with anybody.
Yeah, I have been. I mean, I've been on tour with Co Wetzel. I've been out there with the Rolling Stones. I've been out there with Shinedown. I've
Slipknot.
played shows with Slipknot and Sir Mix-a-Lot.
Janelle Monáe.
I've been out with Janelle and everybody, man. I've been out there with everybody. Yeah, it's true, man. I try to, which has also been, as much as a gift as it's also been a little bit of a challenge, I think, for some of these labels and people, because they're like, where do we put you? You can put me everywhere, especially this in this era we're in right now, where it's like we need to be able to sell you to this place. it can be a little difficult, I think, at times for people to figure out like where do we put
See,
you, you
that
know? But
sucks for me though, because I will tell you, when I brought you to a radio station that I was at, and we started playing your music and you started doing things with us, it was the music that connected.
yeah,
Nobody
yeah,
boxed you in.
hmm
And I love that because I think that business underestimates fans, feeling, heart, and the things that we got into music for. Business
yeah.
underestimates that because everything is counting fucking beans. I
Well,
mean,
that's the thing about business, man. You know, we. I always say this, man. I call them the suits, right? The suits are behind the desk. They understand the numbers, and you need the suits because they look at the broader perspective, numbers wise. But numbers can't account for human intuition, right? We can't account for how people feel, and that's the artist's job is to be have boots on the ground and know what the feedback they're getting from the actual people on the ground. We're like the politicians of our own music, you know, or these are the governors or whatever you want to senators and whatever. We're the ones that are going out and actually talking with the fans, interacting and seeing what's really what people want to hear and what they feel, you know. And so there's a bit of a disconnect there at times, you know, even though it's a very symbiotic relationship, we kind of sometimes a disconnect. And you know, some of the artists out there that are very fortunate to do it, let's say, you know, like the Kendrick Lamars and the Cardi B's, like they're able to go out there and just be everything at once because their numbers are so massive, you know. Whereas like an artist like me, where maybe I have big numbers, but the suits really want to see, they want to make sure that I am in connection with these numbers and maybe not as so much that they understand that, you know, there's intuition happening between me and my fan base.
it's like the separation of church and state. It's like it
Yeah.
would be so nice if we could do that where the business is over here and the music is over here, and you stay
Mhm.
over here and you stay over here. And sometimes we
Right.
just, the water gets muddy. So you mentioned going out with the Stones. What was it like to get that call? Oof. I
Oh, it
was
was
so
weird. I mean,
excited for you.
you got we were this is 21, right? So I spent 4 weeks as number one on the charts as a brand new artist, and then, you know, we went out there. We were gone for a long time, man. I mean, we were gone for about 3 months, and the tour comes. We're tired. We're beat up, man. We've been like on the road forever. And we're compact too. We're in a Sprinter van. We're doing hotels. We're all just exhausted, and we're sitting there in front of this screen. And you know, my manager based me up, and they say, "Hey, man, like we gotta have a call, get the whole band with you." And I thought it was weird because I was like, the band. You know, I'm a solo artist, so like the band never comes and says, I'm like, oh, we're fucked. Like this is it for us. And they're pulling the plug. Label hates me. It's over. You know. And I sit down, and he goes, man, I know you guys are tired, but we got one more week to do, man. So the Rolling Stones want you to open for them in Detroit. We was like, yeah, we freak out, you know, we get out there and we go out to Detroit, and I brought my whole family out, with my kids out, and it was beautiful. You know, it was one of the greatest experiences. I got to talk to Mick for a little while, even though it was COVID. He kind of crossed paths during the sound check, and he made a point to come and talk to me. You know, and actually spoke to me about my music. You know, which I thought was crazy that
They
he had
only
taken the
take the
time to
best,
listen.
like they take the best openers out. One of the first times I saw Prince was opening for the Stones. Living Color, I saw
Yeah.
opening for the Stones. When Vivid was out, and Stones brought them out on the road,
Oh yeah.
and so they really only take. They're not the band that doesn't know who's opening for them. They only take the
That's
best out.
true.
So I
And they
love
listen
that.
too.
I
And that
love
was the
that.
first time. So the second time we got to work with them was on that the a different leg of that same tour was so the first time we opened in Detroit was more of a last minute thing. So we weren't on the post or anything. So no one knew who was opening for the Stones in Detroit, you know. So it's kind of like quietly kept that this happened. Like had this been news, people like, oh my God, you're opening for the Stones, whatever. But the second time we got to play on that same tour was in a different leg. It was in France. And so then, and that show, we were on the poster, everything was hyped up, and there was like 70,000 people in Paris because they liked us so much in Detroit. They asked us to come open for them in Paris, and that was an even bigger experience, I would say. You know,
Oh man. Oh man. They say doing something once is great, but it's really legit if you get to actually do it twice. And
it was insane, insane,
that's
man.
incredible. So I
Yeah,
got to ask you this because it seems to be coming up with artists.
yeah.
What are your feelings about the AI? I mean, I know for us in the radio and media world, it sucks. It's, what are your thoughts on where we
I think
are?
robots. I think robots are robots. Like you can't escape a robot. Like I can listen to AI music and know it's AI still. I mean, I'm not saying that it's gonna, you know, it may get better, but the robot is always only guessing as to human intuition. It doesn't like you and I share a feeling that is grounded in the connection with the real world. The robot has to go based off of what we teach it, and we don't actually know shit. Like we don't know what grounds us to the real world enough to teach a robot, you know. So I feel as if we have to be careful as to how much power we give to a machine that we created, you know, because even if we give the machine all the knowledge in the world that we have as human beings, it's never going to be human. I don't think it's ever going to really truly take over, and we have to be careful not to give flowers to a place that comes from us. Like we have to give our like you know, people say praise God for whatever. Like we are the gods of AI. We are the gods. So how can we praise a machine for the thing that we created it for? You know what I mean? That's it. So I feel like everyone kind of needs to just like put things in perspective and realize what we're dealing with, right? We're working alongside robots that we built to mimic us, and that's the key word, to mimic us. And so it's important that we don't just like we fold over and just say this is the world now. That's not true. You know, human musicians, artists we have a connection with people that can't be copied or replicated. AI music may sound good, but it's never going to feel the same as like when someone bears their heart and soul for you imperfectly. Because that's the point about being an artist, is that we are imperfect. There's imperfections in our music that make it human. We can't teach, the robot doesn't learn imperfections. It can't know imperfections. It's just going to copy it, you know? So that's my feeling towards it. I try not to go down the rabbit hole of uncertainty. You know, I just like let things play out the way they are and be present, you know?
And you will be present, by the way. You are going out on the road with our buddies in Blackstone Cherry. They're such a fun band, and they're such good guys. And
love those dudes, man.
So
so
incredibly underrated. I always say with those guys, banging and twanging. They like originated the banging and twanging sound. A lot of people are doing it now, but I had Chris Robertson on with me like 2 weeks ago, and we broke down their new record, which is unbelievable. And I said like the masters of the banging and twanging. So that's going to be a really fun tour and a great run for you guys. A lot of shows on that tour. We've got a show in Asbury Park. Let me see, when's the Asbury date? November 18th.
Yep.
November 18th in Asbury Park. So I cannot wait to come down and see two of my favorite artists give you a big giant Ayron bear hug. You're gonna have,
come on, you know what time it is.
Oh, I can't wait. I absolutely can't wait. And you're going through a little bit of a change too, because you've got the contract is up. And I think I read a quote from you where you said, you know, though, right now, I'm just making music. Like I'm thinking about my music. You're writing, you're doing what you've got to do. How important do you think? Because I was talking to a producer off the record maybe 2 weeks ago. He wanted to run some music by me. And he said, how important do you really think it is for me to get like these young bands on labels? And I go, I don't know anymore. Right. I really don't know anymore. Look what you did coming out of the box. You didn't expect that. So, you know, right now, I think in your heart and soul, you're just kind of figuring where the music is going to flow and come from. You're not necessarily thinking of the next business decision.
I mean, honestly, it's a little column A, little column B. Like I'm anxious to get back on the road and to get back and get my, I mean, you know, I'm super competitive. I don't know if you know that about me, man. I'm like,
because you're so freaking good. That's why.
Yeah, I'm very competitive and in a good spirit too. I'm never really trying to like one up or outdo someone, but like, you know, there was a time period for about 5 years where my name was on those charts. You know, I saw my name up there, and it was what's crazy, Terry, is I didn't even know what it meant at the time. You know, I'm so new to this space, so new to this era. I'm just like, oh, cool, my name's up there with Metallica. That's awesome. I love Metallica, but it's not, you know, you don't understand. You don't get it, you know? So, in my heart of hearts, I want to get back in the game. I want to be back out there, putting my music out there side by side with some of the people I love and adore and some of the best artists out there. But also I know that starts and ends with the music first and foremost. So my thing is always just keep my head down and keep making good music, but also I can't wait to find a good partner that wants to help, you know, kind of procure this vision and make it happen as well. So there's two parts to it, but yeah, man, I'm focused. I mean, you know, one of the very fortunate parts of this past summer has been I've been able to hang at home and get reacquainted with my family, my kids, man, and that's been awesome. And I've also taken some time to fly down to Nashville and work on some music. But more than anything, I got to catch up with my family, man, which has been beautiful. And
you got such cute babies too. Oh my God, the kids you have such a great looking family, and it's so nice to see you because I follow you on socials to see you out with the fam. They're just a great looking group of people.
I love them, man. They're good kids too, and like they're all my daughter's gonna be 13 here pretty soon, and just the level of intelligence they have. I want to share a story with you. This is funny, right? So it was my birthday. My buddy comes over. He brings these like mushroom chocolates, so we take a couple bits. And I'm sitting down and my kid comes up and he goes, Daddy, and this is when the mushroom, me and my buddy's sitting there and they're starting to kick in a little bit. And we're like, oh man, this feels good. My son comes up, my 6-year-old son comes up. He goes, Daddy, I know what happens when you die. And I was like, what are you talking about, bro? And he goes, when you sleep, you dream, right? And when you dream, you go to sleep and you dream. And then when you die, you dream about life. And I was like, I couldn't, jaw on the floor, dude. The mushrooms are kicking in. I'm like, go to bed.
You're like, am I dead? Am I dead right now?
Like, so like these kids are
the voice of reason. The voice of reason.
I said, where's that coming from? And he goes, I just thought about it. And I was like, dude, like, so my kids are so just like rooted in something so deep, you know what I mean? And I'm just proud to be their father, and I'm proud to have, to watch them grow up. And like, when you're touring, and like, as much as I love to tour and be out there and get to see my fans do all the thing, like, it's also a blessing to be able to get to see these kids and get inside their heads a little bit to see where they're at, so.
And you're a great dad. You're giving them something that you didn't have.
Yeah.
You're giving them something that you didn't have, that has been something that has also fueled your art.
Yeah.
And it's kind of come full circle for you. I think that's got to be a feeling of healing too.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's a lot of healing going on. I mean, just being a good dad and learning how to be a good dad too. I mean, like, there's a lot to say about what happens when you don't grow up with parents, right? Like, I'm like this feral kid, and I kind of like my whole life. I mean, this is part of why I am who I am. I just didn't give a fuck. I could do whatever I want to do because who's going to tell me not to? Which is a blessing when it comes to being innovative and reaching for the stars, writing hits and all that stuff. But it can be kind of counterproductive when it comes to having structure around, and so just the fact that I'm able to create and provide a space of structure for them, but also allow them to to grow up and learn how to be a good dad. All those things happen at one time, and it's been a beautiful experience.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Before I let you go, first time you picked up the guitar, what did you feel? Did you feel like, I can play this thing? Was it scary? Did you put it down? Do you remember what you played? What was it like when it got in your hands? Did it feel like a good woman? What did it feel like when you picked it up the first time?
It felt to me what I don't know. It just felt connected is what it felt like. It felt like I had found something. I didn't know what it was at the time. I mean, I've been playing violin before that, and so the string instrument was already kind of familiar with me. But when I grabbed a guitar, it all just made sense. You know what I mean? Like, I remember playing a violin thing. I wish they just like, I didn't have to perfectly put my fingers where it needs to go on the fretboard on the fingerboard to make it happen. And so you pick up a guitar and everything's fretted out, and it was like, this is perfect. This is it for me. And so I'd always been writing poetry at a young age. So when I picked up a guitar, I found a space for my poetry to go, in terms of melodically and also in a lyrical sense. So that's where that happened. And so this kind of like symbiotic relationship was born between me and the guitar. And immediately I begin, I'm coming up in the emo era where it was like, the Postal Service and Death Cab for Cutie and all these bands were out. And so I'm coming out here, and that's what I was doing. I was writing folk music and, indie folk music on the guitar for a while. And then I got really into blues and like old blues cats like Stevie Ray Vaughan, and then Jimi Hendrix. And all of a sudden I find out I'm a legacy in guitar from my city. And now what do you want to do with it?
I love it. Ayron, I'm always grateful for your time. Grateful to call you a friend. You're one of my favorite artists, and I adore you. New music's coming. Tour with Blackstone Cherry. Thank you so much for the time today.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Terrie, anytime,
Don't forget to like this podcast and subscribe to the Carr Stereo page on Spotify, Apple, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcasts. I'm Rob Moorhead. TC and I will see you next time.